meeting you. Yeah, it's redefining the digital community engagement and creating some new values in our digital interactions. And we have our fantastic lineup of experts who are leading this evolution. They're here to share their insight and explore development in social space and discuss how this fusion will reshaping our digital experience. So before we dive into the heart of it, let's kick things off with some intros. Could each of you give us a snapshot of who you are, the exciting journey of your project, and yep, let's start from Yilan and let's go around.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, thanks for having me, and hello everyone. This is Yilan from CyberConnect. CyberConnect in a nutshell is a decentralized social network protocol. We're starting 2021 and on the social part, and basically we started with the social graph protocol. And now we're already one of the largest in terms of user numbers. We have more than 1.2 million on-chain users, on-chain profiles in our protocol. With our recent V3 upgrade, which happened, which is still happening actually, we are moving towards the 4.37 compatible smart account system as well. So you can think of it as like two pieces of the puzzle. The one part is the AA smart account wallet, so we can get users more easily into Web3 without all these complexities and also the the switching networks and all the onboarding processes. And the other part is the social use cases. So once they're onboarded into Web3, they can immediately have something to do. That's not just about speculation or trading, and they can actually stay here and to really enjoy their their friendship and their experiences on Web3. And if we combine them together, we think that's going to be the key contribution to one of the theme here, the mass adoption of Web3, and that's what we're trying to help with. Thank you.
Thank you. Bradley.
Awesome. Hey guys, first show of hands. Who's used a platform called FriendTech before? Raise your hand. Cool. Who's used
Buddy.
Who's used a platform called Stars Arena? Anyone? Cool. So I'm Bradley Miles. We introduced. I'm mainly going to talk about SocialFi. We introduced SocialFi in 2020 around by bringing social tokens on Ethereum to Uniswap with some staking and token gating with Collabland and a few other projects there. There's been some waves of innovation since then, and we really feel SocialFi is going to eat the world if there's one or two small changes, which I'll sort of highlight around an interoperability first approach. We're very excited about the category, and we'll be launching something pretty soon. So stay tuned.
Yeah. Hello everyone. I already did my introduction, but I will do it again. So I'm Muhammed Tanrikulu, working in ENS for more than 2.5 years. I'm a full stack developer, basically responsible from anything required. And as ENS, what we are doing, probably some of you already heard about ENS, and some of you might have the ENS name of yours, possibly. And then ENS, we are experimenting or trying to solve one of the biggest issues of the blockchain, which is the user experience. So it's all started with the dealing with the alphanumeric characters of these public addresses of blockchain. Like when you see them, it's like super scary, right? Like you are just super new to the blockchain. You just come and somebody says that you should create a wallet, and you just create a wallet. And come on, what it is like? Okay, we have like two different really long strings that we have no idea what we're gonna do with that. And after that, we are learning that one of them is private, so we should hide it, and then one of them is public, like we should just use it, and then okay, it's fine. Let's send your address. What we're gonna do, we're gonna, I don't know, send some amount of token or things. Now the problem is, what if I mistype? What if when I copy the wrong one? So all this stuff are, the really big issues when people trying to enter the blockchain. So the ENS started from that point. And after that, we realized that actually ENS can be more than this. So it can keep any data, any key value. And then we extended the feature of the ENS, and we see the feature that, actually the ENS can be your profile. ENS can be your decentralized website. Like ENS can be your, like login alternative. So can solve a lot of problem for you. And this is what we did.
Lovely. Thanks all for sharing all those incredible things that you guys are building. Yep, we will dive deep into each of your projects' excitement for the near future. But as we just mentioned about the friend tag and also the speculation thing, so I'm curious to know like how platforms like friend tag, which emphasize the speculative natures of the social network, will have influenced your approach to the SocialFi. Who want to take this first?
Yeah, I'll take a shot.
Sure
So there's really two main use cases of blockchains: like trading and payments. So when we generally think about like social networks at large and how they'll operate in Web3, they'll probably either be one of the two, payments or speculation. What we're pretty excited about is now, if you look at the SocialFi space more broadly. If you look at maybe like 7 different SocialFi platforms and you're one person, you'll need 7 different tokens to sort of interact with those platforms. And so in the long run, this isn't too feasible. So there's sort of a SocialFi V2 that's going to sort of emerge, where you only need 1 token for 7 platforms. And this can be done in 2 different ways. One, everyone can kind of build on the same protocol. So comparable may be something like everyone building a front end on top of Uniswap, and so everyone could kind of interact with the same liquidity, same protocol. Or 2, SocialFi V2 can look like a world in which any sort of token, whether it's a key or a share, any other sort of data point in a curve, can become an ERC20. And this is a very interesting insight because it means that any token can now be a SocialFi token. So you can have a SocialFi group for WETH or USDC, and this is the point at which we feel SocialFi kind of eats the world. But it's based on the first principle of speculation, kind of being the main thing people do on the blockchain at this point. But yeah.
Cool, yeah. Regarding the question, I don't think we're really changing our, the approach or the philosophy behind building the product, because apparently, we basically think of it as 2 separate things, but they are closely related. One is the social part of it, one is the fi part of it, right? So for the social part of it, we think of it more as creating a better and more equal experiences for the social users. So it's all about still like social connections and social media, but using Web3, using cryptography to really enable them to really own their data, own their connections, and be more flexible and be more interoperable and portable, so they can go wherever they want, and looking for the best experience they can have. Right? That's definitely still that was the starting point of CyberConnect, but also that's still going to be the vision that we're building towards. But I mean, at the same time, like there's no point to deny that. The speculation is still, like one core part of the whole industry here, and that's exactly how we got here, and that's how we, how we can leverage, all those trends and to really build upon something that's actually going to be potentially in the future and get really, massively adopted, and so that's that to us it's more of a tool, a means, to get growth going, and Friend Tech or Stars Arena or many other projects, I think that's. For us, it's a very good, interesting case study in terms of user growth and also product growth, and that's also like a testimony to how our current market is still composed of what kind of user behaviors we're looking at and what people are actually still looking to do in the crypto space. So that's a very good reminder, I would say. But ultimately, I think we need to come back to the social part of it, not just on the side part of it. I think that's if we're talking about mass adoption, and that's ultimately going to be our goal here as well.
Can I say that you're ideology first rather than the access first for CyberConnect?
Well, that's a very spicy question. I would say. I think as a protocol, right? So we definitely need to have a very strong ideology, so to speak, or we'll have to stick with that. But at the same time, we're also building our product, Link 3, and also the wallet is coming up. There's definitely we need to have the adoption. We need to have the feedback from the users. So there's a lot of strategies we need to use, to learn from the SocialFi projects in order to grow. So I would say it's a mix, but it's always there's a little bit tension between it, but there's more of a balance we have to find every day.
We'll talk about more balance in the later.
Yeah.
Before that, do you want to give some take?
Yeah, sure. So, like how I see the speculation is, like there are positive sides of it, there are negative sides of it, but of course, one of the part of the adoption is basically just getting the, like the positive side of whatever happening, and this speculation in blockchain is some kind of side effect of like this volatile nature of the currencies. So it's actually created a like really nice way to engage with the users. But the key point here is like not just using the speculative like speculation for your project, but at the same time you need to provide a retention. And I see the speculation as just, like, okay, this is a good start. Like, it's a spirit, It's just like, wow, you are doing something new, and people are hearing about it, and they want to try it. That's perfect. But the key point there is, like, right after, will you deliver? Like, will you, like, have, like, more functionalities, more, I don't know, like, the methods and the stuff to keep the people inside? This retention is the most important to me, right after that.
Do you think like the content is more important for the user retention?
So like based on use cases, sometimes content is important, sometimes the functionality is important. But the most important part is engagement. If you are able to give this engagement to the users after that speculation, that's the best.
Cool.
Yeah, and that's particularly true for social networks, right? Because we always have that co-starting problem. You need to have the first amount of social networks out there in order for them to have better experiences, and that's definitely helping us with the first stage. But also engagement and what do people come here for? Like they come here for speculation or many other reasons, but they need to stay for something else. And for us, it's probably content or social network, or maybe just better engagement, better experiences. I think that's that's a social part we're talking about.
Yeah. So as we move into the broader industry perspective, so. As we just mentioned, there are lots of discussion around the speculation, either as a feature or just a bug in the Web3 space. So with the example like Franta would just mention, where the speculation could be the central, how do you see like the whole things like speculation as a feature playing out in the long term? Would you think this will be like a stepping stone for a long-term run of social space, or like do you have other different opinions on that?
Oh, yeah, I'll jump in.
There you go.
Cool. So I would say that you're kind of spot on with speculation as a feature. I think if we want to look at SocialFi as a category, we can almost understand the product market fit as a bonding curve that represents the layer of interaction between Esme and her community, let's say. And what's interesting is there was a prior talk talking about kind of like early days of like AOL, AIM, and chat and all this. We're sort of right there with SocialFi because that concept of product market fit there can be extended in a number of ways. So if you talk about speculation as a feature, the first introduction would be a one-person, one-curve world where you connect your Twitter account, you have one bonding curve. But this can be extended in many ways. So, we're in Istanbul right now. We should be able to start an Istanbul old friends crypto group. And that group can have its own bonding curve. And that can be created by any individual here. And then obviously there's a market for this. So the secret here is there's really a market for everything. And SocialFi can represent this. So you could think about beyond a person or profile, you could think about an interest group. You could think about actual content. You could think about proto-DAO approaches where I want to ask everyone in this room if the new Taylor Swift album is good or bad. And maybe you need a bonding curve token to vote on that, see comments, et cetera. You could think about the idea of trends in SocialFi. So maybe there's a TikTok-based trend that's a soundbite, and in order for someone to replicate that, They need to sort of buy that bonding curve token, and fees can be displayed along the way. So there's a vast ecosystem here that can be created, which is sort of based on the framework of speculation as a feature, which we're pretty excited about in the future.
Who want to take the next?
Yeah, I would say, I think I covered most of it already, but I would say speculation is definitely something that's going to stay, and we're better, use it, for our growth, and also as an industry, also as a project, right? But at the same time, I feel like, it's definitely not the full picture of it. Of course, we can say that we can, put a price tag on everything, and it's like to some extent it actually helps with all the circulation, also all the communications, and across different borders and across different barriers. That will be the first driving force, for a lot of interactions and engagements. But I would say like social still goes beyond that. It's not just about everything capitalized or marketized. There's a lot of we can also socialize the social content in a more not capitalism but socialism. So like there's a lot of things that cannot be just put a price tag on, and by not putting a price tag on it actually can leave more room for the real like social connections, social networks, or DAOs, or communities to grow. And there's a multitude of other reasons people coming here, and especially for people to stay here. And that's something I think we should keep in our mind when we're talking about speculation, when we're talking about growth. But what's ultimately we're delivering to the users, and what do they actually care? Especially when we're talking about more users coming into Web3, not the OGs, not the speculators already, but the real users out there, outside of this palace, and who are already using Facebook, Instagram, but they're just looking for better experiences. And yeah, I mean that's something we need to keep in mind.
Cool.
I definitely agree, because like my previous answer was like more or less the same thing. So.
I do really like the concept you just mentioned, like not just capitalize, but we also have to socialize. Have you heard about the concept called before you setting up something like the social protocol or the platform or the product, you have to be first as populated, and then you gotta be populable. Have you ever heard about this? So you gotta gather people, gather all the audience to your protocols and product, then you will have to make it grow and into some popular product. How would you think about this?
I think that's probably the same as, very similar to the co-starting problem, the network effect. The social media, social apps are looking for, because like it's very interesting, but also very special. Like there's something else special about human beings. It's like we're fundamentally social beings, and all the social features really work unless we have enough people around us. Yeah. And that's gonna be like the real utilities, and also the engagement really grow, exponentially. Once we have more people here. So that's definitely something we're looking for. But at the same time, I would say that's also why Web3 itself can already kind of help already, even without the FI part. Like, Web3 social, the fundamental part of Web3 social is exactly about the portability and also interoperability. So we can keep that, social network, so connections across different platforms. And so without, going everywhere to start again. And so we can just keep enjoying those friendships and everything.
So also like keep appealing for those traditional Web2 audiences who might not be that inclined to the speculation features.
Yeah, like they are here for social, so that's why.
For the social thing. It's another thing about the balancing. So we know that like the triangle is important for the social product. How are you guys balancing the needs for decentralization and with the user-friendly experience that will rival traditional social media platforms?
Yeah, so we're there's a previous talk about account abstraction. We're very excited about account abstraction, smart wallets, and SocialFi in particular. One use case that we're exploring and talking with folks about is sort of the idea of buying a SocialFi token from a community, and the fees being collected not only by the creator but everyone in that community. And so this is possible with ERC 4337 and some smart wallets. And so as we sort of expand the ecosystem there, we could see a world in which people are incentivized to be a part of communities, not just because of the growth of the curve, but also because any fees that'll be gained along the way. So this is only like one account abstraction example. So account abstraction is going to be a massive wave in 2024. So we're all excited about it, and there's so many use cases that we can't even think of right now that are going to kind of emerge and be a big part of Web3 social.
Back in the previous panel I was on, abstract, and we're talking about account abstraction. Everybody said, 2023 is already a big year for account abstraction, but definitely in 2024 it's going to be better. I also like, the balance here as a protocol. We need to, as I mentioned, we start with the vision, with the ideology. So we at least need to make sure the basic part of decentralization is already there. Mm-hmm. But based on that, if we're talking about social is all about people, it's all about users, and it's all about mass users. So we have to, again, remind it that ultimately it's about, what kind of experiences we can deliver to the users. It's not about, the infra, how good they are, or maybe even a kind of abstraction. The ultimate goal of the abstraction is everything abstracted away, from the users already. So yeah, I would say like, user friendliness, that's something. Once we have a certain level of decentralization locked in the protocol, and that's going to take more time to work on the user friendliness. And there are a lot of use cases, or there are a lot of case studies to learn from Web 2, from other Web 3, from fintech, from new projects. But I have to say that we are still yet to find a real like a testified, kind of like verified, mass adopted use case yet. But I think we're getting closer to that, and every part of the, for example, be it identity, naming, or social network, graph, or account abstraction, everyone is trying to come together to do that, and that's something we're really excited to see.
So, as ENS, of course, we are following all these improvements regarding the UX and the account abstraction and everything, because this is how we are benefiting from the community on the ecosystem. But the thing is, there must be also some, the basic things you need to apply for your projects or for your community. So, this topic, the keeping the protocol or the project decentralized, and at the same time trying to provide the best UX is just like walking over the rope. It's just not it's not easy at all. So that's why we are trying to adapt a couple of things in ENS. The one thing is simplicity with the or over the or on the complexity. We are just basically trying to get rid of all the complexity. We know that it's there, but somehow we need to solve this problem by just trying, experimenting. It's just like I'm seeing this just like a tree. When you look at the tree, it's just like super simple thing. But at the same time, there is a huge root system, under the earth that, hidden and actually do the actual work. So for blockchain, is more or less the same. How we are interacting with the blockchain is super complex, especially for the newcomers. But what we try to do, we are just, putting it under the earth and just showing the user that, okay, this is the easiest, steps that you can get. By just registering the name, or I don't know, creating your profile and the things, and we are trying to hide all this complexity as much as possible. This is the first thing. And the second thing is we are community centric, which means that we are not just saying that, oh, okay, we found a new feature, it's cool, let's implement it. No, what we do is we are listening to community and just checking, what they want, what they're asking for. And if you are going through that direction, it's actually more easier, because now you know what they want, and now you know how you're gonna deliver, how to make them happy. And this creates, if you are also, considering about the decentralization and also the UX, this actually provide an amazing path for you, because you already know, you already have community for the feedback, and you will do the best for them.
Cool, thank you. I do have some specific questions for each of you, so let's delve deeper into each of your projects and explore how your initiatives are shaping the landscape. So I would like to start with Tanrikulu. Yeah, sure. Considering your recent innovation with the off-chain names, what's the next big step for ENS as a DAO because we all know that there's an announcement for this. And are there any plans to expand into applications, or will the focus remain on the protocol development?
So, that's a good question, definitely. Yeah, because like this is exactly where we are as ENS. So, like after the off-chain resolver, our actually like ultimate goal was to create this specification or the mechanism to scale the ENS. Because like one of the problem that in front of ENS is basically like there is Ethereum, it's L1, and there are many L2s. The thing is, if you want to, like the scale, the current approach just kind of misunderstood by, some other projects for me. Like, you shouldn't force user to use specific L2. You should create a way to jump in between. So this is what we want as ENS. So like, there is no need to just announce, ENS now working on Gnosis. ENS works on, I don't know, optimism or arbitrum. Just what we try to do right now is creating a proper framework, proper specification that we can scale the ENS for all the L2s right there, and the user can choose which L2 they want to use for keeping their data or registering subnames, registering names, even moving their names from L2 to L1 and between the L2s. So this is our ultimate goal. It's tough. And for the second question, we definitely stay in the protocol level, but of course sometimes we do the, like the utilities, so the community can benefit from that, we can benefit from that, and the ecosystem can benefit from that.
Thank you. And also for Bradley, as one of the pioneers in the social token space, how have you seen the whole industry evolve, and what is your plans of moving forward?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So social tokens have definitely kind of evolved to SocialFi. And then we're very excited about making SocialFi tokens. So the current SocialFi landscape is not composable. So an example would be my Uniswap tokens not working with, not interoperable with my balancer tokens, which is in the future we could really see being feasible. So we're very excited about what we could probably call SocialFi v2, which is more of a composable SocialFi, and creating a playground, I'll say, for that thesis in the future, which is going to be really exciting for new projects and teams.
Cool, thank you. Yeah, for Yilan, with the shift from using the NFTs to account abstraction in your V2, which you already mentioned, there's a version 3 coming soon, right? What are the changes you notice in the ecosystem that development and developer response to the latest update? And
I feel like we're doing like the V3 upgrades, and the move to AA is more of an add-on instead of just like a total change of our design, like, back in the protocols. But the add-on part is basically about the onboarding. So like that's basically something we received the feedbacks from a lot of developers within our ecosystem, and also because also during the process when we're building our own product, Link 3, it's about, even if we do have a good enough or maybe user-friendly product out there, but the hardest part is always getting people onto the platform, onto Web3, and in order to start using it. And that's why we're working with all the big infra projects in the industry on the AA, and trying to create something that is not just on the tech level, but actually they can immediately use and they can come in and to see the use cases of Web3. So in that case, CyberConnect right now is positioned in a very uniquely kind of meaningful position, right? Like it's kind of in between the tech infra, but also the applications and use cases. And that's exactly also why we are talking about mass adoption in 2 ways, right? One is the onboarding, the other one is the retention, as we mentioned, using the use cases. But what's coming up, what's coming up next, especially for CyberConnect, especially with the V3 upgrade, is going to be the wallet. So we've already, with our V3, we already have the smart contract accounts, for the server compatible accounts already out there. We're currently already one of the biggest, actually the biggest. We're like if you're looking at the whole smart accounts in the market, almost like 50% of the whole accounts coming from CyberConnect and on different different infras. Yeah, so I think that was like one of the attempts, from CyberConnect and also our tech partners trying to test out, how exactly, AA can help, onboarding new users, and it was a good success, but it was also a very good learning lesson for us because we basically broke, all those, underlying infra at the time because it was too much traffic and too much, we didn't do a very good job in terms of like gas estimation. So it was good, because we saw the limits. We saw that we are not ready yet, but we're building on something that we think, is going to be very important to onboarding the next billion or million users. But also a sobering point would be that it's not as if we're just it's not as if there are billions of people out there just trying to get into Web3 right now. They're just waiting for better tech. It's not the case. Like most people don't actually know or are willing to try out Web3, right? So it's not just about lowering the entry barrier, but actually also like finding some real use cases that we can really get people interested in coming in the first place. So on the ecosystem part, we're definitely still doing more. For example, grants and also other ecosystem development projects, and also working with different developers, builders across the different regions. Turkey is a special case here because we see a lot of young builders coming up from the college clubs. They're winning hackathons everywhere, and it's definitely something very different from the overall kind of a stereotype about Turkey as a mostly trading speculative market. Actually, there's a lot of new builders coming up, so that's also why we're trying to spot the new talents early on and trying to get them into our ecosystem and to build this social ecosystem, but also the mass adoption of Web3.
Yeah, that's exciting to hear about that. As we navigate this evolving landscape, what advice would you offer to developers and the founders who's entering these social or even the SocialFi space? Yeah, do you have some key takes for them?
Okay, I'll go first. Yeah, I would say this is very pertinent to this topic. First of all, don't shy away from the speculation. I think it's totally fine, and that's probably one of the best growth hacks you can have. And only available in crypto, only available here. So don't waste it, use it. And the second one would be still stay close with your users. If you're building a application, if it's not just a protocol, if you're building that, for example, in our ecosystem, really still stay close with the actual user base. Yeah, listen to them and trying to get the features delivered, not just sticking with the ideology or sticking with the mimicking the Web2 social features, but actually listen to them and to see what new things are they looking for and what uniquely can be provided by the Web3 blockchain tech stack.
Yeah, I would say just generally work from first principles. So things that you know to be true. So speculation is a feature, and SocialFi is working, and also maybe something like account abstraction is growing immensely. So if you're just to combine those two things, SocialFi and account abstraction, I think aside from social login, there's really only can't really recall any other feature that would kind of combine those two, and that'll probably change next year. So if you're working at the intersection, or if you'd like to work at the intersection of like AA and SocialFi, there's probably a massive opportunity to create something. I don't know, maybe around likes or just anything that comes to mind. But it's a good hackathon project as well, just combining AA and SocialFi in the future.
That feels like a shout out to CyberConnect, and welcome to be with us. Yeah.
Definitely a shout out.
I mean, mine gonna be more generic. There are this world is changing so rapidly. So there are a lot of opportunities if you are experimenting. So if you are an experienced developer, I definitely suggest them to whatever upcoming, the new things, new techs, or I don't know, new specifications. Just play with it. And if you are not an experienced developer, just start experimenting whatever you want to or like to do in blockchain space. You will find tons of helps.
All right, our very last question here. Has the venture capital investment in the social space been effectively targeting the right area? What do you guys think? Especially in the consumer applications. Do you think the money are put into the right shoes, or do you think they are getting like something wrong direction, getting pivoted into some other things?
Sorry, you mean like, are we using the money correctly? Is that what you mean?
Are we using the
you-
money?
okay. I would say you made a very good bet on CyberConnect. I would say it kind of depends on the areas and also the timing we're looking at. Back in the days of 2021, or maybe like the last bull cycle, it was, or maybe in every previous bull cycle, it was mostly driven by some narratives. And at the time, it makes a lot of sense and also makes way easier decisions to invest in protocols and also the infras. But as we, as the whole industry matures and as we are actually really talking about mass adoption, not as an ideology, but actually as a strategy or maybe the next step, I think now we're desperately needing more developers and more teams to build on the application side. So like getting closer to applications and getting closer to those people who have actually professional previous experiences, come into Web3, but also come about with an open heart and combining all the Web3 narrative or ideology, but also the tech stack. I think that would be probably a better bet in recent years.
Yeah, so VCs are definitely betting on the right place on the application side.
Yeah, I would say so.
Would you say that?
Yeah. And the protocols can, like nowadays can, a lot of protocols already grow to some extent, can already also be part of the the funding, to help with the VCs and with other all kinds of different, maybe some are community funding as well, right? So we can join force to to build together the ecosystem together.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, this is kind of an endless debate of infrastructure versus applications. Sort of like, do we need more airports or airplanes? I always defer back to not an investor of ours, but investor we like a lot from Placeholder. So that this idea of a fat protocol thesis, which you guys are probably all familiar with. And the idea of really the value aligning at the protocol level. So yeah, there'll always be kind of hit applications for the next several years. But we do hold it to be true that value will come from the protocol level in kind of the long term.
Cool.
From my perspective, I truly have no idea because ENS is a NGO, so.
True that.
Yeah, non-profit organization, so we don't have any info about that, basically.
Yeah, sure. Yep. Any other questions? Do you guys have any other questions? We can leave one more open questions for all of you. Oh, wow. Can someone hand in the mic to him? Yeah, just bring mic.
Great talk. I think, over the past few days, there's a lot of talk about abstraction. It's abstracting a whole bunch of things, right? I think abstracting computation, abstracting wallets, and I think some folks are talking about even chain abstraction. So my personal thesis, and when I look at it, is that when we get to a stage where we abstract the blockchain or blockchains, it means that speculation at the actual native token will no longer take off as we signed before, which means that a lot of the L1s or L2s or even L3s are coming up. Their token themselves are not going to be something we speculate on. My take is that I think something in SocialFi will then come in and be that vehicle to which users speculate on, right? And it'll actually pick up more traction. So my question really is, what is your take on this notion of abstracting so many layers, and how does that impact SocialFi or some of these SocialFi tokens from your perspective?
Yeah, I mean, I would 100% agree with what you said. There, if you look on a site like L2Beat right now, you'll see that there's maybe 30 L2s that are out right now. If we were to fast forward to the end of next year, that may be 10x, maybe 300, and maybe 100 or something like this. So in that world where many, many different types of people have chains, network abstraction is definitely something that that is going to kind of come to mind, and kind of see SocialFi at the forefront of that, even at the network level.
I think you mentioned like, I don't know if you want to chime in.
No, go ahead first.
I was going to ask you because I think you mentioned that next generation protocols for SocialFi sort of, they live across different networks, right? Like it's no longer that Frentech is on Base or Stars Arena is on Avalanche. Is that where you guys see things are going? And would it be perhaps be, again, the rise of a SocialFi subnet or, Cosmozone or L2 or Parachain?
Yeah, I think a broader thesis that has always been true in Web3 is sort of more composability is better. So the question that I think we would ask is there a world in which there can exist a token that can be used on both Stars Arena and Frentech? And so we're kind of solving that question and also kind of creating a playground in the future that other folks can experiment too.
Yeah, I feel like for users, it really doesn't matter, which end, the project is on or what token they're looking for. And that's the point of abstraction. For example, like right now, CyberConnect is like on 6 chains already, and by having a Cyber ID or Cyber account, you don't have to switch networks. You just use your one single gas credit, and just get the NFT or get the transaction done, and you don't even know like which chain you're interacting with. I guess that's the so ultimately when we're talking about abstraction, is like people don't have to care and people don't have to know about it, and that's exactly the case we're looking for social, because people in social are specifically not looking for those kind of complexities or tech side of it. So as long as it disappears, I think that's the best case. But I totally get your point about like people are still like talking about abstraction too much recently, and I see a lot of friends of mine already starting to say distracted instead abstracted instead of distracted, and so they are we're constantly abstracted, and to the point that we don't know what we're talking about. But yeah, so the final tip I would say, like, stay close and focus on the applications, and as long as you're building something that's actually useful, but only using AA or whatever tech you are trying to enable to deliver better experiences in the end, I think that will be you're still on the right track, and that will be good.
Cool, thanks.
Yep. Great, thank you. And I guess that will be all of our session for this panel. Thank you all for your sharing and insightful discussion.